wonderful friends. Welcome back to the Your Business Story podcast. I'm your host, who cares the most, Kristin Spencer, messaging expert. And also shout out to our friends who are watching the replay afterwards. Today I have an amazing guest that I am honored and also humbled, and I'll explain why in a minute, to have on the show. We have Jo Christiansen from Stone Tablet Bookkeeping, and she is going to help us understand how to make sense of our numbers. So, Jo, thank you so much for agreeing to come on.
Oh, Kristen, sorry. I know another Kirsten, but thanks for having me here. I'm happy to be here.
So, I just want to give you, first, let me just be totally transparent with all of you viewers and listeners. First of all, if you're listening, my outfit today is amazing. So you should watch the YouTube video. But also, Jo is someone who has worked with me. We've created amazing things together for her business to promote it, to help her understand exactly what it is she does and her amazing professional superpowers. But while I was working with Jo, I realized something. I had no idea what I was doing with my bookkeeping. and I went to her and I was like, Jo, I haven't paid myself in 4 months. My husband is asking me if my business is upside down. Please, can you help me? And it wasn't upside down. I had just been hoarding money because I was afraid to spend it because I was just lost. And when I realized what she did and how powerful her manipulation of numbers could be, like, not manipulation in a bad way, but she takes all the things that confuse me and makes them make sense. So I was like, Jo, please, can't I just hire you to fix this for me? And she was like, sure. And then she gave me we did everything super official, but I was like, oh, thank you, Lord, that someone else can do this because it is not my thing. So my first question is going to be, so first of all, thank you for all of your help. And I will humbly admit that it was so funny, right? Because I was talking to Jo and she was like, yeah, some business owners don't know that they need help with these things. And then she's all, I don't mean you. And I was like, I know I need help with that.
Right. Well, we don't want to call it out. But first, I'd like to say I really love your glasses. Those are cool glasses.
Thank you. Okay, so for people who are listening, I am wearing the pink butterfly cat eye glasses today. And these have been a fan favorite. I had people vote on my glasses and they were like, we like these ones. So thank you.
Oh,
And also, your
yeah.
glasses look amazing. Jo
Oh,
also
thank
has
you.
amazing glasses on. So she's been a help to me. I know she's going to help you. And listen, if you have any questions you want to ask a professional bookkeeper and you're watching live or even after the live and you have a question, just pop it into the comments and I can even ask Jo, please answer this question for this person because they need your help even more than I did.
And I'll be happy to.
Okay, so what is the most important problem you solve for your client?
The most important problem is letting them know if they make a profit or not. How do you know you make a profit if you're not doing your books?
Yeah.
Right?
So just getting them the most basic important information they need.
Yes. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
In
That,
your experience, do a lot of business owners have problems like I did where they're like, I don't know?
Yes. Well, because Kristen, as you get it, right? You, in your business, you help business owners write their story. I help them write their number story. But when you started your business, you weren't thinking of the books behind the scene, right?
No.
So you're more focused on your clients and what you're doing for them and not thinking of the behind the scene books. And so, right, so you're just not thinking of it. Well, that's my superpower. Yours is writing their story. My superpower is organizing the books so that their data, so that they know where they stand. Can they grow? Do they need to do something differently? Where are they at? So we all have superpowers. Most business owners is running their business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. And business owners like me who are actually dyslexic with numbers, which I am, are so thankful that we can hire experts like you
Right.
to come in and be like, hey, I think you can buy equipment this year. And we're like, oh, yay, that's amazing.
Yay. You mean I can buy a chair that's comfortable? Yeah.
Yes. Oh, man, I love my chair. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about your client's pain because as I exhibited, the pain is real. So what is the biggest pain that your client has right now, and what do they think they need to solve? Like they need so that they can solve it. Like what's their thing? What's the thing they think if I just do this, it will work
Right.
out?
Right. Well, mostly just so you know, and all listeners know, I work with e-commerce businesses, and a lot of them think, it's a overnight millionaire business, which it's not, right? Everything takes work. And so a lot of them get into it and then they want to go take out a bunch of loans to try to buy more product right. And then suddenly they find themselves in debt and they can't pay themselves, much less other people. And they're just trying to rob Peter to pay Paul. So the biggest thing I help with is getting them on the track to use their profit to buy more inventory, to keep them out of debt so that they walk away at the end of every day feeling confident in themselves and in their business and their clients.
So you're saying that a lot of times people just think that they can keep borrowing money to like create what would you say is like fake growth, right? Because they're just going deeper into debt, not getting more and more
Right.
profit.
Yes. Yeah. They get that mindset that, well, if I just had more inventory, I could sell more inventory. Right. Well, first of all, if your inventory is not moving, you need to figure out why.
Yeah.
And then you should be taking part of every sale and using it to set aside for more inventory purchase. And that's where your inventory purchase would come from, not another loan or calling grandma and saying, hey, I need money, right? Because I'm failing, which leaves a lot of business owners feeling like failures,
Yeah.
and they're stressed. They don't sleep. They don't eat. Because they're like say they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and it's just not working out for them.
So you don't just come in and help them see actual profitable solutions. You help them sleep better at night.
Yes, right? Because isn't that
Yeah.
what we all want to do, right?
Right.
Is to sleep better. We all get in the business to help others, and we hope we make a profit. But you can't keep taking out loans and make a profit. Just not going to work that way.
Yeah, I feel like people before they go on Shark Tank, they should hire you so that you can fix their numbers. Because have you ever seen like people go on there and the sharks are like, "How much debt do you have?" And you see like they're like, "Well, and
Right, right.
they could
And
solve
there's
that."
yes, and there's some instances with some companies where taking out a loan or going on Shark Tank, right? You need to get stuff going to make stuff, but doing it wisely, and
Yeah.
not just keep throwing good money after bad to do that. I've seen it time and time again, and the owners, like say, they're just stressed and they don't know where to go. They don't know who to turn to. Um, they're not happy in their life. So like I say, I want them to walk away at the end of the day feeling confident and comfortable in themselves and in their business.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that does help them sleep, I'm sure,
Yeah.
much better at night. Okay, so here's the next question. What is your solution to their big problem? Oh, I actually there's one thing you didn't say that I've heard you say before is
Okay.
that they like before they come to you they think if I just spend more time putting my numbers into a spreadsheet or if I just hire my third cousin's nephew who doesn't know anything about bookkeeping
Right.
to come in, that I'll be okay. So what would you say to that?
I would say, well, a lot of business owners think it's just bookkeeping, right? In air quotes.
Yeah.
And you can have people that just do the bookkeeping, right? They just put the numbers in the right columns, but we do more than that at Stone Tablet. We go into the books and we make sure we see where you're at. Where are you at currently, right? It's like a roadmap. Where are you at? We talk to you about where you want to be. Um, and then we try to help make a plan to get you there.
Right. Like
And
you
so it's
use your knowledge to
yes,
actually plan out how the business can grow to where it wants to get.
right, right. Because like I was saying, you run your business and you're not worried about the numbers. And I know you told me, right, a few times you're like, yeah, I kept saying, yeah, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And you'd schedule time for it. And then a client would want time. So you'd use that time instead. And right. And then pretty
Yeah.
soon you've got this snowball thing of of a year or two, right?
Yes.
Where you're like, I don't even know what I have. My husband's asking me, am I making money in my business? You're like, I don't know. I'm just helping clients. I don't know. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and he's like, "I'm worried about you." And I'm like, "I think I'm going to hire someone." He's like, "Do it."
Yeah.
I told him,
And
I was like, "I'm going to hire Joe." He's all, "Oh, good. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad."
right. Well, and a lot of business owners think I can't afford to hire a bookkeeper when the truth really is you can't afford not to.
Yeah,
It should
well,
be one of your first things when you're starting your business is to find somebody like, and trust
yeah.
that's going to have your best business, interests at their heart. They're going to help you. They're going to guide you and direct you, be there for you, and not just create a spreadsheet and say, oh, here you go at the end of the month.
Well, and like you also help businesses save money, don't you? Like you go in and you're like a like wasted expense assassin, and you're like,
Right.
we need to get rid of these things because they're draining your profitability. So
Yes.
really, people save money from working with you, even though they're paying you every month. Don't they? Don't you think they save more in the long run?
I think so. And sometimes it's not as much money wise, but it can more um, just how they feel, right? They
Yeah.
get more confidence. And so they're gaining more confidence because now they know their numbers, they understand their numbers, right? They're ready to move forward with something instead of just being up in the air.
Yeah. So, and like also you, because you said you help them plan for growth. I think,
Hmm.
like I help businesses when they're getting ready to grow by helping them figure out what they should charge for like their high ticket offer, what they can turn into a high ticket offer.
Right.
But then they're confused about the money because they'll
Hmm.
sell like, 15, $10,000 offers and they made $150,000 and they have no idea how to disperse it, how to pay taxes on it. They're just confused. So they need
Right.
someone like you to come in and be like, okay, let's set this aside to invest in equipment. Let's pay the taxes here with this.
Right.
How about
Yes.
inventory?
Yes, and yeah, for whatever business it is, it's yeah, where are we going, right? Where do you want to be? And then how do we get you there, right? So if that means we need to cut some of these costs or we need to up the price of this, inventory, it's finding the ways, and with e-commerce clients, it's finding what's your best platform that you're selling on,
Yeah.
right? It's not necessarily throw the dice and go on 47 platforms. It's figure out what's the best platform for your items that you're selling.
Right. Well, and because a lot of business owners don't really think about this, but every platform you're selling on, you're paying them, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah. More
so,
expense and more fees and more, right? One on top of the other, right?
yeah, so like you're like, I'm diversifying my offer, but really you're diversifying your expense.
Right. Yeah. Instead of a scattergun approach, you need to be more methodical and pick two or three platforms, start there and give yourself some time and where is it selling, right? And then try to figure out why it's not selling here. Is it the wrong price? Is it the wrong platform?
Yeah. And I just want to add something here because Joe's dealing with all my mess that I made. Sorry, Joe. But for my finances and like I know that people will come to you and they'll be like, well, I got QuickBooks set up with these different softwares and all. Like, I tried to like look at it without Joe's help and I wanted to punch myself in the face because
Right.
it was so overwhelming. And like, even if you just go in QuickBooks, they're like, here's 50 different integrations you could use to connect Stripe. I'm like, what is happening? So
Right.
I just called Joe and I was like, tell me which one to pick, please.
And that's where clients also get in trouble, right? Because they get a QuickBooks online and then they say, oh, okay, let's connect Stripe or Square or whatever without knowing the why behind it. And will it work? And then all of a sudden they've got 5,000 transactions in a day and they don't have a clue why. it's great that you're selling, but you don't necessarily want all of those in your QuickBooks file.
Yeah.
And so how do you do that so that you can pull reports and see what what's selling well, what's not selling well, but still keep your books legible and readable for you?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what
Yeah.
this is why people who are doing things that don't have to do with bookkeeping like me need help from someone who knows what they're
Right.
doing, because it's not a simple thing where you're just like, you just click this button and you click this button and boom, magically your books are done for you.
Right. That's true. That's so true.
Okay, so I'm gonna embarrass Joe a little bit right now. But
Okay.
so she is like one of the most trustworthy people I've ever met in my life.
Oh, thank you.
Like, I would literally like give her control over all my assets and power of attorney and trust her to like do the right thing, right? And I'm tying that in because I want you to answer this question for our audience, because I know some of them are looking for bookkeeping help and I want them to know that you can help them. So why should they trust you to solve this problem for them?
Oh, that's kind of a doozy, isn't it? Because if you're an e-commerce client, because I understand e-commerce.
Yeah.
And it's not everybody can do e-commerce. And so that's kind of a specialized field. And some of it is like my business don't have.
Oh, Joe's cutting out a little bit. I'm sure whatever she's saying is
I
super
think I
valuable.
just lost you.
Okay,
Did I
sorry.
find you again?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Now
All
you're
right.
back.
Are we back?
We're
We're back. And so everything I do is from God. So if I'm going to write a proposal for somebody, it's because God said to, even after I meet them. It's not because anything I do. And so when I'm going in to do clients' books, God's always with me and he's directing me to help get them the best results that I possibly can.
Right. So you're not just motivated from a place of I do this to make money. You feel like it's one of the purposes that God gave you to do.
Yes. Yeah, to help clients in need. Yep.
Yeah, and Joe's story is actually really interesting. So I want to ask you about that because this is your business story. How did you even get into bookkeeping as a profession?
For those of you on video, I'm sitting in my car and it's like baking right now. So I'm
Oh,
like,
open that door.
I have to
Open
open my door a little bit
Yes.
before I I look like I'm having a hot flash, but it's just it's warm.
I'm sorry, and I do appreciate you being flexible with our scheduling. Yeah, go ahead, open your door. Any background noise is fine.
Okay. So what was your question? Oh, what were we talking about? See, I'm
So
easily distracted.
how you got into this bookkeeping field in the first place?
Well, I kind of grew into it when I was a teenager. I started working in ad offices for admins and went through the whole thing of working behind the scenes in HR and accounts payable, accounts receivable, doing all the bookkeeping, doing payroll. And so as time went on, just with more and more responsibility, and then I homeschooled my kids for a lot of years. But I kept helping friends with their bookkeeping. And
Yeah.
so over time, it was like, fun. I just started a business. So I ended up starting my business 4 years ago. And it's just been a blessing ever since.
And like, would you say, because like obviously I'm dyslexic with numbers, I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
I just can't do it, and I'm not naturally gifted at that.
Right.
Let's say that. So like, how did you figure out that the numbers talk to you, right? Like, how did you realize I understand this as like its own language?
I think it's a lot of it comes naturally to me, kind of like probably writing comes naturally to you.
Yeah.
Right. And being able to read people and understand kind of what the message they're trying to get across. That's what people's books and numbers do for me. It's natural for me, right? To go in and understand the debits and the credits and the assets and the expenses and right,
Just
your
hearing this
loans
is
and
hurting my brain.
Well, please don't punch yourself in the face. There's no need
Okay,
for
I
that.
would.
Help is available.
No, I know. That's why I asked you for help. I was like, please. But like, can you remember when you first realized that number spoke to you? Like, was it as a kid, or was it when you were like first starting in your career?
Probably when I was first starting in my career and I started in, HR and bookkeeping and doing stuff for small companies was I'd go in and it was just natural, right? It was easy for me to understand.
Nice.
And so people would be like, well, then you do it. And I'd be like, okay. And if it's something I don't know, I get online and I start learning because that's part of my personality is I'm a learner. So I will go in and learn anything that I can possibly learn to help my clients or, personally or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such an important thing. I'm always like, oh, I am taking a new class, or I
Yeah.
joined this new thing. I can't help myself, right? But not about numbers. But so like, how do you think that our listeners can cultivate that, like, wanting to be a lifelong learner if it's not something that comes natural to them? Because I know you give people advice about this all the time.
Right. How to become, well, when you're interested in something, start researching it, right? Don't just say, oh, that'd be interesting and walk on, like, right? Because I can get sidetracked really easy on, I start researching, why the sky looks blue to us, let's say, or whatever. And pretty
Mhm.
soon I've got 5,000 tabs open because now I'm on rabbit trails, right? And it's not just about that anymore. And the same is true with the bookkeeping, right? It's like I'll come across something that I'm like, well, what is this? Because there's always new stuff popping up just for
Yeah.
us, just like there is for, everybody else. And so to become a lifelong learner, you need to have an interest. And if that's your business, right? If you're an e-commerce person, get interested in your business, learn how to be a leader, learn how to manage, learn how to change yourself to make your business better. Listen to audiobooks.
Oh
Those are
yeah, that's a
great.
good
Read
one.
a book,
Yeah.
Google, join a mastermind.
Yeah, be curious, right? Like that's the
Mm-hmm.
one thing I'm always telling, because that's my whole job, literally. I'm curious about other people's jobs.
Right.
So I ask them a million questions and I realized, oh, this is actually a job that people have. I can get paid to do this. This is awesome. But
Right.
it's like, be curious about other things, and when you don't understand something, instead of feeling upset that you don't understand, like,
Mm-hmm.
be interested in what you can learn about it. Maybe you can't become an expert on the thing you're curious about, but you can always learn more about it, right? Wouldn't you say that?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And for anybody out there that owns a business that needs to hire a bookkeeper or has a bookkeeper, when you get that person, don't just think of them as this nebulous thing out there that just, requests documents and wants to send financials at the end of the month, right? Become their partner with them, right? Find out what they're doing in your business so right? Learn how to read the financial statements. Why do they need these receipts? How do they make it better for their business to run? But become partner up with your bookkeeper. And if you're
Yeah.
struggling with a bookkeeper and it's not working, find another one. Find one that fits you.
Yeah. I love that. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Yeah, be curious about the people on your team so you can make your team run more smoothly. I love
Right?
that.
There you go.
Yeah, that
Because
was
just like there's bookkeepers have different personalities, right? Some are
yeah.
introverts, some are extroverts, some are you know, just whatever, right? And so find one that fits in with your team, your style of business, and don't just think you have to take, like you say, Tommy's cousins, over
Oh
here
my.
because well, they
Yeah.
kind of know it in their family. No, you find one that works for you that's going to help you grow yourself as a business owner.
Well, and I would say, like, also, and I want your opinion on this. People are always telling me, they're like, the person who takes you to your first $100,000 is not the person who takes you to your first $1,000,000. And I'm finding that to be like, as
Mm-hmm.
I'm changing my business, I need to find someone who can actually keep up with what I'm doing. Do you find that's true? Like, people are like, oh, I have this small business, so I'm working with this person. But then, like, let's say they decide they want to open an e-commerce store or something, they need to work with someone more like you.
Right. Yeah. Because depending on, um, a lot of bookkeepers get their start by just helping friends and family, and that's wonderful because I've done some of the same. But then we also learn to niche down and get better at what we do. And sometimes the one you pick, they're going to grow with you. They're going to learn. They're going to be curious, right? And it's going to work out. But yes, you're right. In all areas, if we have a coach, sometimes that coach can't go with us past that 100,000.
Yeah.
Right. And we need to move on to the next one. So it's the same thing. Find one that fits the needs of your business, your style, the way you run, so that you're willing to work with them more and not just be annoyed with your bookkeeper.
Well,
Right.
and I love that because every single time Joe and I talk, we laugh about half of like it's just so much fun. Like I'm never like, oh no, I need to like talk about my financials with Joe. I'm always like, oh yeah, I get to talk to Joe, and of
Right.
course we'll talk about my financials.
But I try to make that fun too when we get together on that. Right.
No, it is. It's fun
Yeah.
because we care about each other and we're
Mm-hmm.
friends and we can work together. And because I trust you and I know you, when you're like, Kristen, you need to stop spending money on this thing, I'll be like, yes, okay. Joe is right.
Right.
Or like, hey, maybe you should invest in this thing that I know you're a little scared to invest in. I'll be like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. It's like you got the funds. It's okay. Yes. No, and it's so true. And probably, I don't know if your business is the same, but I know in mine, if somebody comes to me and I'm not their niche, right? I'm
Yeah.
not going to necessarily say, "Oh, pick me, pick me." I'll meet with them and get to know kind of what their needs are. And then I've got a group of bookkeepers I know that I will say, that's not my niche, but I'm happy to connect you with this one, and so that they can help you specifically for that business.
Yeah,
And so
yeah, it's
you
definitely the same with my group of copywriting friends for sure.
right.
I'm the book lady and they do different things, but they're like, "Oh, if you
Yes.
want to write a book, go talk to Kristen." I'm like, "Oh, you want to do like a month's worth of Pinterest posts? You need to go talk to Laura, you know."
Right.
Oh, you were
Yeah.
frozen. Okay, but you're back. You're
Because
back.
and there we go. Am I back? But that's
Yeah.
kind of what you want, is you want somebody that's going to know if they've outgrown you or you've outgrown them. And yeah, you're right. We don't always stick with the same person forever. Now, I know some bookkeepers have clients that are, they've been with them 20 years. They know the businesses inside and out. And they've grown with them, not just kind of stagnated. So that's
Yeah.
part of it, is as as business owners, you guys can help bookkeepers also, because you help us grow just like we help you grow.
You're like, "Look at this giant pile of cash. What do I do?" And you're
Right?
like, let me research so I know what we should do with that."
I know.
Ideally, right? That's what will happen.
Yes, yes. We want you to learn how to invest back in yourself and your business.
Yeah.
Right? Leave a
Yeah.
legacy for your kids if you have kids, and if not, leave a legacy for, whatever it is that you're passionate about.
Oh, I was on with my coach right before this, my mentor. Everyone knows because I talk about her all the time, Kristen Nichols. But she was telling me she just went to a conference and there was this person and his whole thing is like working with your kids to build a legacy. And he's like, but your legacy doesn't have to necessarily be the things you leave behind. It can be the qualities you leave behind in your kids. And I was like,
Right?
that's amazing. And I know you do that with your girls and you're
Hmm.
such a hard worker and you're so like growth focused and so I know they're learning all of those things from you as well and I just thought that was such a cool way to think about it.
Well, yes, if and it's true, if you have kids and they can be involved in your business, talk to your bookkeeper, because there are ways to have your kids involved in your business, and you pay them, and you can start 401ks or IRAs for them at a young age, and might not get cash from you, but you can start plopping money in there. So make sure you get with your bookkeeper about that stuff, because there's a lot of that can really be helpful for business owners.
So smart. I didn't even think of that. This is why I have to have you around.
Right?
Okay, so if you want to work with Joe, her company is stonetabletbookkeeping.com. I'm going to have all that in the show notes and I'll post a comment on LinkedIn and all that fun stuff. But before we go, I want to ask you, Joe, what is the most important thing for people to remember when they're trying to hire a bookkeeper?
But I would say find somebody that meshes with you. Find somebody you can talk to, that you'll listen to, that you get along with. Don't just find anybody, because form that relationship with them. And
Yeah.
that would be my
Okay.
biggest words of advice, because if you can't work with them or don't think you're going to be angry every time their phone number comes up or you get an email, so find somebody that you respect and you know that you can trust, and that's going to be your biggest benefit.
Yeah, that's so good. It's relational, right? Just like every important thing that we have in our business. Joe is a tiny bit frozen right now. I'm waiting for her to unfreeze. But in the meantime, thank you so much for listening about how you can find the bookkeeper who you will laugh with and not want to cry when they give you a call. And thanks to Joe for being on the show. It was amazing having you. And I'm going to go ahead. I don't think she's going to unfreeze, so I'm going to pull her off for now. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will be back to help you understand your business story. Make sure to like and subscribe.